I would have never thought that I would find myself here in this position. I was like, oh my gosh, am I gonna do this? And so was Carlo. But I remember him saying, if you are gonna do this anyway ever, I think the best time is now, and the best time is with Secretary Cristina. So I am here now to serve.
Thank you so much for spending time with us, and welcome to LA.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Janelle.
Right. Before this official trip, you were already coming here growing up as a little girl. What do you remember the most? What are your favorites here in LA?
Oh my gosh. That's a surprise question. Yes. So yes, my mom's whole family moved here a long time ago. So I remember, I think the best is I came when I was maybe 5 years old, the first time. I remember when we landed, I was thinking in my head, I can't believe I'm actually going to see Mickey Mouse in real life. Oh my gosh, can you believe? And I won't forget that. I was 5 years old.
Right, right. And here you are now, years later, coming to LA as the Chief Operating Officer of the Tourism Board of the Philippines. Tell us your journey to this position.
I was in the private sector, so I had my own company. I set up my own social enterprise. I would have never thought that I would find myself here in this position. Although my husband is in government, he was former secretary of the PRRD administration. Then he was also congressman. Now he is the chairman of the Civil Service Commission. So when I was asked by Secretary Cristina Garcia Frasco, our tourism secretary, I was like, oh my gosh, am I gonna do this? And so was Carlo. But I remember him saying, if you are gonna do this anyway ever, I think the best time is now, and the best time is with Secretary Cristina. Because we really believe in her work and her passion and what she really wants to do for country. So I am here now to serve.
But what I find interesting as well is that once upon a time, you actually worked in DOT.
Yes, it's so funny. You know, that was my job fresh out of college. I was in the DOT in New York, DOT NYC.
Right.
I was a local hire under Tourism Attaché Kiling Dakudao. So it's funny because after that, I got into my businesses and my profession in retail and fashion and lifestyle. So that part of my life was really, I never really talked about it, right? Because that was like, for me, maybe a first job kind of thing.
Right.
Now that I'm appointed, we always go back to that. Yeah, when I was in the DOT in New York, the DOT in New York. So yes, it's funny. It's funny. But yes, I was there as a local hire for maybe 8 months.
And so Tourism Board of the Philippines, we're familiar with the Department of Tourism, right? But Tourism Board of the Philippines, how do you differentiate that? What is its role and how is it different from the Department of Tourism?
Yes. So the Tourism Promotions Board is a GOCC. So it's a government-owned and controlled company, but we are an attached agency to the Department of Tourism. So we are separate of the Department of Tourism, but our mandate is to be the marketing arm of the Department of Tourism. So pretty much that's what we do. We are here to support the programs and policy and products of the Department of Tourism.
Do you guys have your own programs and projects?
Yes, we do. Over and above our support to the projects and programs and products of the DOT, we also have our own products. Our agency has been here for over 45 years. It's been here forever. It was born because its mandate at that time was to creatively bring conventions into the country. So really for MICE, meetings, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions. So that's really what our agency used to be. Then it evolved now into our international department, domestic, marketing communications, and MICE. But with the coming of the secretary, she now wants to again strengthen our MICE department. We have a lot of institutionalized programs and events that the agency has been doing for years. It's a commitment that we have around the world with our partners around the world. Like for instance, we are always in the World Travel Mart in London every year. And then we are always at the ITB Berlin every year, among others. So we have that. And then over and above that, we also have our institutionalized domestic programs, and then many other partnerships with our private sector partners in the Philippines.
I feel like even before your title as COO of Tourism Board of the Philippines, you have already been doing this anyway, because even in the private sector as an entrepreneur, that's what you based your business on, is promoting the beauty of the Philippines, the products, specifically from indigenous communities. Can you tell us about that?
Thank you, Janelle. Yes, actually, before I started at the TPB, I set up my own social enterprise. It's called Kaayo Modern Mindanao. So in Kaayo, our goal was to creatively craft livelihood for our indigenous groups in Mindanao. So I had to step down when I was appointed at the TPB, but as I started at the TPB, I learned that we actually have a strong program that goes into the communities to again upgrade, uplift, and figure out how we can give livelihood by promoting these communities as destinations. So since I realized that we had that program, I then further enhanced it. So it's one of my favorite programs now, our community-based tourism program.
Tell us about that. Can you give us a picture of what that might look like? What's in it for people who are touring, doing this community-based tours?
Yes. So first, our president, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., I always quote him. During his first State of the Nation address, he said, "To foster the Filipino brand is to spark our sense of pride and to reaffirm our strong sense of identity." So I always go back to that. I was in the sauna watching him when he said that. I wasn't appointed yet, but when he said that, I'm like, exactly. This is the essence of what I was doing in Kaayo. And then he further said that the creativity of the Filipino is truly world-class. So picking up from that, we then strengthen this community-based tourism. So what is this community-based tourism? So we at the Tourism Promotions Board go into different communities around the Philippines. For example, we go into Lake Cebu. Lake Cebu is in South Cotabato, south of the Philippines. So the Tboli indigenous community lives in Lake Cebu. So the TPB comes in to train the community. We ask the community, what is it that you want to learn? Diba? What is your dream? What are your goals? So we have that conversation with the community. Then they tell us, gusto namin matuto ng marketing. We want to know how to do branding, packaging, ganyan. So we then bring trainers into the community to do that. So that program was set up before I came. When I came, I said, okay, let's do this. Let's further enhance it. So when we go into the community and we teach them to upgrade their craft, we then also bring business for them. So like a phase 2 of that program is our coming to Lake Cebu with now fashion designers, media, brand builders, everyone who can connect and mentor and do business with our communities. So we did that in Kalinga moving forward. But in Lake Cebu, that was my first trip. My first trip when I was new. So I was with the Fortune Girls, so foreigners. So when we came to Lake Cebu, they had a special ritual dance for us. It was beautiful, all the energy and the dances, and they dressed us up and taught us how to dance with them, right? So our guests were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I mean, how much more authentic can you be, right? Then after dancing, I remember we sat down and the head of the tribe came up and he said, welcome to the land of the dream weavers. Yeah. My hair stood because I felt like the soil that I was stepping on is really the land of the dream weavers. They say, right, the Tboli indigenous tribe, their embroidery, their beading, their weaving techniques come to them in their dreams. Yes. So that is the land of the dream weavers. So things like that. And then after that, the head of the tribe and then showed me his tinalak collection. Tinalak is hand-woven abaca, right? Mm-hmm. And as he was teaching us of their culture and their craft, he would tell us, the spirit of Fudalu, the spirit of the abaca watches over our land. Mm-hmm. So we are protected because of Fudalu, of the abaca. So which is why you don't cut a tinalak. I mean, you really, it's sacred. So when you buy it, you put it in your home, it's there to protect you. Right? So this is just one of the many other stories that we have in all our communities around the Philippines.
I'm getting goosebumps, no?
I know.
Because
that's why I want to bring you.
Right? That's the essence of tourism really is. It's not just to show, not just to taste, not just to smell, but to experience.
To feel. Yes.
People visiting naman the Philippines, what would be the top 5 that they should bring with them as pasalubong to their loved ones?
Wow, top 5.
How would you now then invite people, Filipinos and non-Filipinos alike, to come visit the Philippines? If there's one thing or one word that you would use to describe this experience of traveling to the Philippines, what would it be?